So till next time, cheers, and keep the supple side. Are we doing that? Hey there, everybody. Welcome to another episode of BikesxBourbon. I'm Russ from The Path Less Pedaled.
And I'm Toffer from The Bike Path.
And today we're going to talk about things and we're going to drink some things.
We're going to talk about bikes and drink some bourbon.
Yeah.
So we have a single barrel 1792. It's a Kentucky straight bourbon.
Yeah.
And let's just get right into the pour here.
Yeah. In this episode, I want to talk a little bit about the patch that I just put out and you guys bought in less than 24 hours, completely sold out. But there was some controversy about whether it was farther or further on the patch.
Long time. The month-long followers will know that we are both English majors.
Yes.
So this is something that we cannot let die without commenting upon at length.
Let me grab one just so I can illustrate. The patch in question is this one. And as you may note, it's got a very stylish, on-point, front-loaded light touring bike, and it says further.
Oh, what word is that?
Further.
I don't know that word.
Should it be another word?
Some people might say farther.
Some people might say farther. So
we'll get into that.
Yeah. But first, the bourbon. So this is 1792 bourbon. So again, 51% corn.
What I like about this, like on the nose, is so sweet. The kind of a very pleasing. Not so sweet, but just like a pleasing.
I feel like it's sweet, but kind of delicate at the same time. It's not like sniffing candy, but just there is like a waft of sweetness in there. I like it.
This coming out for me now is that butterscotch.
Okay.
And there's like a woodsy butterscotch.
I definitely get the wood.
I'm not sure independently by itself how I would describe eating wood or tasting it, but there's a nice play between the wood and the butterscotch.
I feel like it's multi-dimensional. It's not all sweet. There is that kind of wood kind of to balance it out.
Yeah.
I get wood, but also kind of like leather, like a slightly leatherish, like it tastes like how leather smells. And then at the back end of that, kind of some cherry sweetness.
It's been a while since I've had a shoe.
With leather.
but
I feel like this is kind of like a bourbon. If bourbon and an Irish whiskey had a baby whiskey, it might taste like this.
Or if they were just mixed together.
Or that's true. That might be easier.
Like, let's just stick with this the whole show.
Right.
Let's not do two this week. Let's just.
It's a nice sipper. I mean, it unfolds. Yeah. There's layers. And it has more than like one note. So back to the Great Patch controversy of 2018. The reason it says further, and Toffer, you know this because you're an English major as well, is that it's
all the English majors.
All the English majors are like, yeah,
upon
of course.
receiving the diploma.
It's actually a reference. It's not unlike this bourbon. It's multifaceted. So it's a reference to Ken Kesey, hippie writer in the '60s. He had a magical bus. He
wrote One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest.
Yeah. He rolled with
other things.
Yeah. He rolled with like the whole Jack Kerouac crew, and he had this magical bus, multicolored, and on the top of it. It said further, and originally it was spelled with a U-R instead of the E-R.
Because these were LSD carrying artists that
probably an English major or two in there.
That had their original way of approaching life.
So this is what it's a reference to, because I feel like a bike takes you farther physically. That's kind of like the 1.0 interpretation of it. Yeah. But then there's also other kind of meanings. So I wanted to go with that kind of mental meaning, like how like when you go on a bike ride, you go further internally as well. You sort things out, solve the world problems.
Right. Yeah. And I think though that there's just on the basis of this whole further, farther actual debate, we can go back to some of the most curmudgeonly, boorish men writing dictionaries. I'm gonna get the name of this wrong because I don't use his dictionary. But Fowler's Dictionary of Modern English Usage, published 1926. Hardly anyone uses the two words for different occasions.
Huh.
So even in 1926, he was kind of recognizing that further and farther.
Yeah.
Strunk and White, E.B. White, who wrote Charlotte's Web and other things.
Yeah, he was also like a staff writer for the New Yorker,
Yes.
I think. Yeah.
They wrote in their 1959 Elements of Style guide, commonly interchangeable.
Same.
So we have some, kind of some pretty, I don't know, we have like some history on our side there.
Yeah, it's open to interpretation.
It's open to interpretation.
Yeah.
We invite that. Once again, Bike Travel invites that interpretation, exploring things mean to you, and so.
Yeah, I think on the Big Cartel page that had this, it's like it will be a conversation starter, because no doubt someone will see this and be like, "Isn't it supposed to be farther?"
And then you can talk about it.
And you can say, "Well, actually,
wow.
E.B. White, the guy that wrote Charlotte's Web."
I didn't realize you were a prescriptivist.
Yeah.
I'm a descriptive. Yeah, you could just have a nice long debate between friends.
I have a T-shirt version of this online, so if you really want to start conversations everywhere you go, check that out. Thanks again to everyone that bought the patch. You folks are amazing. Yeah. Like I ordered 100, and within less than 24 hours, like we sold 91 of them. I held on a couple for like a giveaway and to give to friends and stuff. But yeah, it's cool. Thank you.
Rumor on the street is there'll be more
patch drops.
Yeah, there'll be more pathless pedal patches coming.
Maybe some supple related patches.
Maybe.
Yeah. I don't know what would be.
Are we into that? Are we into this whole life? I don't know.
Yeah.
But maybe that might be a good one.
The thing I love about patches is they're accessible.
Yeah.
They're affordable. You don't have to necessarily wear them and get them dirty and wash them. You can collect them.
Right.
And it's just a cool way to build community and kind of rep different products. And
put them in your rando bag.
Yeah, your rando bag or on your patch wall.
On your patch wall. I need to do a little bit more of this.
Yeah, for sure.
1792, y'all.
This is the first 1792 I've had, and this isn't. They have like a regular straight bourbon one. This is their single barrel.
Just a little bit more.
Yeah, they did. There
we go.
I think barrel strength release.
Something about that butterscotch is lingering for me, and it's really nice. That's just what I'm.
It's pleasant.
Because it's like, once again, it's not just complete butterscotch kind of news to it. There's I feel like even the butterscotch flavor has some different notes going on. But then there's other actually has kind of a little bit of a spikiness to it. But it's nice because you're getting that played off of.
Like the smoothness.
Some of the smoothness, so.
There's conflict, but not like in a terrible way. I mean, there's contrast. Kind of different textures going on, different competing flavors, and it makes it for just interesting drink. If you guys could see where we're filming right now, it's we are reaching
suppleness everywhere.
Peak suppleness. So this week, Midnight Special came in to be reviewed, and a Salsa Journeyman. Look for those soon. Midnight Special, really interesting bike. I mean, interesting when we read about it on the Radavist, but spending some time on it. It's very surly of surly, it kind of just breaks the mold to have tight rear end, but
I realized that I was just staring at it longingly. I just what's Russ saying? I don't know.
You're like, I wish it was my size.
Well, I just need a few sizes bigger.
Yeah, but it's an interesting bike. Again, like this bourbon, because it's a contrast of different things going on. It's got that kind of really, I wouldn't say aggressive, but kind of tight road geometry, but playing with those supple tires. So you get on it and you're like, I don't get it. Something new and amazing is being born.
Yeah, the seat stays. That looks online. It looks kind of weird because they're bent. The way that there's a very dramatic curve.
Yeah.
Online, I don't think it does it justice to how they've really that helps kind of.
Makes it tucked.
Yeah, kind of tucks the rear wheel there, and it's just a nice. It looks. Once again, I haven't ridden it because we're different sizes.
Yeah. Well, let's do some comments.
All right. What have you all had to say to us?
D. Gray says, if there's only, this is referring to the Cannondale Slate, my favorite bike. If there's only one leg, can it even be called a fork since there's no fork? That's true. What would you call a one-legged thing? Dork? No.
Mystery of the ages, that's a conundrum.
Yeah.
We can ponder.
And mock.
Did you crash on a slate, like at a demo day, or
No,
what?
you know,
Like where does this?
the slate the slate just visually offends me.
All right.
I mean, it's just like
So the bike has done nothing to you, except
I've not ridden it. I probably shouldn't judge it having not ridden it, but like visually, like I look at it, I'm like, man, that's not a pretty looking bike.
all right, yeah.
I mean, it looks like they had a bunch of leftover lefty forks, and they're like, oh crap, what are we gonna do with this? You know, let's put it on a road bike.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
So another comment. This is from Michael Bodke. I hope I'm pronouncing that correct. +1 for Arkansas.
Yep.
This is referring to when we had Allie on the show. Completely agree with the sentiment that their mountains are not tall, but they are certainly worthy. Curious if Allie could share her route. And Michael's also down to support Pathless Pedal Toothbrush / GSI coffee grinder handle collab. And Allie chimed in and said, the route will be released in 2019 by Adventure Cycling. So we forgot to mention that, but Allie, or did we mention that Allie works for Adventure Cycling?
Yeah, she does. I think we mentioned it, but it's one of those. She went out there to see it. I don't think it was an official.
Yeah, it wasn't an official
reconnaissance
ACA
mission
trip
for Adventure Cycling, but it is going to be an ACA route, Adventure Cycling route. So that'll be cool to see that map, because their maps are awesome, really descriptive, and provide some good details for you. So yeah, that'll be released. I think they're still
doing
it.
They're doing the development. I think it's supposed to be like 1,000 miles. Is that what she said?
Mm-hmm.
So pretty significant route.
Yeah, she only wrote a few hundred of it. So.
Yeah, cool. Well, let's see. I have a note here. Send us booze.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So
we'll bring this up again.
Yeah, if you guys want us to review a particular bourbon, scotch, distilled spirit that you like, that you think we might like, or are curious about our opinion, you can ship it to us. Just tag us on Instagram. You can contact us that way. Or you could send funds and say, hey, go get this bottle, and we'll try to track it down.
Yeah, definitely.
Because it would help our bank account, because this 2 bourbons a show gets expensive.
I mean.
Speaking of booze, should we want to switch to the rye? Yeah.
Yeah. Sudden Wisdom.
I love that name.
Yes. It's a rye from our hometown heroes at Montgomery Distillery.
Yeah.
Located in the heart of Missoula.
So I think Missoula is mostly a beer town, but it is cool that, and there's one cidery, but it's cool that there's a distillery in town too.
Yeah, I think we have 9 breweries.
There's a lot of breweries here.
Yeah, I mean, for a town of 70,000 people, there's
a lot of drinking.
9 breweries, yeah. I mean, it's not that on the nose. I mean, it just has, what is that?
I mean, it's a little bit.
Is it like an apple? That's what it is.
Apple, also
So it's like a little bit.
Like mintiness to it, some spiciness to it.
That you would expect with a rye.
Yeah.
Going from a smoother, butterscotch vibe to a kind of spicier apple.
Like ice pick to the nose. Well, it's not that harsh. It's not that harsh.
It's not that harsh.
But it is a contrast to the bourbon.
Wow. What is that?
I've had this and it tastes different now, off the back of that bourbon.
Cinnamon is really forward for me right now.
I get the cinnamon, but also this is strange, but I'm getting a nuttiness to it.
No, the cinnamon is so forward for me right now that I didn't really get some of that spice on the nose as much as maybe you were getting, and then but I was just gonna say, having done this show now for a little while, I like doing this back-to-back bourbon tasting thing. If you are somebody who maybe stays with a bourbon and likes to sip the same thing for a night, I would maybe suggest experimenting and having a couple of bottles, or I now have several bottles at home that I can rotate between. And it's kind of fun to just kind of things play off each other. Yeah. And so the way this is coming on after that one, where it was just completely kind of this smooth notes, kind of sweeter.
Yeah. If I'm gonna have a session, I like to have at least 3 bottles and do small pours.
Yeah.
But kind of do all the permutations of going, oh, this one's sweet, this one's kind of spicy, this one's smoky. And then, because depending on what you drink before, it just pulls out different things. And it's kind of like this, I don't know. It's a game of discovery.
Right. I mean, it's like when you pair food and
Yeah.
a beverage, and
Yeah.
they can complement each other or make a note stand out in one or the other that you weren't maybe just getting if you were having that on its own.
Yeah. Or, you know what it's like too? It's like testing bikes. So right now, like I've got a couple of 650B bikes to play around with, and my own, personal bikes. So like riding one bike and then switching to the other, it's like, oh, this is how this is really different from this bike.
Yeah.
Or this is what I like about this bike and not about this one.
Yeah.
Or if this attribute and this attribute came together, it would be the perfect bike.
Right. I always love your abilities to pair bikes. I want the rear end of this one, and I want the fork of this one, and I want the...
Yeah. One thing that Topper's up to and that I'm going to help with is pedal Missoula. So let's talk a little bit about that, building bike community and kind of the things you're trying to instigate in town.
Well, I think it's just having lived in different, so I lived in Seattle for a little while, lived in Minneapolis for a little while. I guess you coming from Portland. I guess like the one thing that that stands out to me about a bike community being something that, I don't know, makes it a bike community is like the texture of different things going on. So there's not just like your commuters or your gravel grinders or your roadies or your mountain bikers. Like there's kind of like all of them, and I think one of the things that's also true is that they mix. There's like a mixture of them, so they're not just like siloed off into their own little niche, but they're like
it's a tapestry.
So yeah, I guess that's what I was getting at with the texture thing. So, it creates this, and so.
But right now, do you think there's that? It's not quite a tapestry here at the moment.
No, we have a lot of different facets. I mean, I think Montana just being in the mountains, there being mountains here in Montana, and kind of being at the northern end of the Rocky Mountain Range for us. Like, yeah, I think mountain biking makes sense why that's so popular. We have adventure cycling based here, a lot of recreational cyclists going on kind of big long tours. So there's definitely like a recreation crowd here that appreciates that aspect of bikes. And one thing that I will say that maybe kind of I think about this, like this kind of sums it up for me. There was a bicycling magazine article that was talking about e-bikes, and they were talking about how e-bikes fit into like our sport. And it's kind of weird because it's like, well, does somebody who bikes, I mean, it's like, well, is touring a sport?
That's true.
You can tour.
Some people try to make it a sport. Coming from Portland, and I don't know if it was the same. It was probably the same in Seattle, Minneapolis. But there was kind of like a nice social biking scene that wasn't competitive, pretty laid back. People were okay, like maybe riding slower, but talking and everything.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's because like I'm new, or I'm mostly making videos here and not riding bikes with people. But I feel like there's like not obvious ways to tap into, I don't know, just kind of like a chill cycling scene.
Yeah, I don't know. I think as the spring, I
guess it's like we've had winter too, so everything kind of hibernates.
Yeah, I think mountain bikers can maybe mellow out a lot of scenes.
That's true.
I definitely think that there is something about that, the seriousness that we can take.
There's obvious mountain bikers and there's like roadies. These two groups are easy to identify.
Right.
But just people that kind of want to go on a longish ride but not like drill it.
Right.
Like where do you find those people?
And then especially like one thing that I've learned, especially like somehow hills in Seattle have been wiped from my memory somehow, having lived in some other places before coming back to mountains.
Yeah.
And like mountains change how you think about distance like completely.
Yeah.
So yeah, like that's the other thing is that like a 20-mile ride in Minneapolis is kind of like
it's pretty flat.
And so like it's flat. There's some hill, like I don't know.
Yeah, not mountains.
I love you, Minneapolis. I do think though that what the recreational cyclist, and maybe this is like an at-large bike industry kind of problem, is that like recreational cyclists kind of take the spotlight and glory away from like commuters, and I feel like that there's kind of like there's the commuter culture here. Like a lot of people ride bikes. Missoula is not very big.
All right.
Like geographically.
It's a neighborhood in Portland, like Missoula.
I mean, it's like, yeah. I mean, you're getting, you go like end to end. You're talking like 5 by 5 square miles.
Right.
So I mean, it's like you can go from end of town, and it's not that hard of a bike ride at all.
I am kind of surprised, because it's so small and compact and not very big, that I don't see more bike commuters, or that there isn't more like.
I think like a lot of places it dips in the winter. And like I've started to see it out more. The bike racks downtown are starting to get filled up more with bikes. But I don't know. There's just not. It doesn't seem like. I feel like there's kind of some gentle ribbing in different places about like rack spotting and kind of all the different like crazy bikes that you can see in a city. And it just seems like that. I don't know. There's just something about it where. That like there's almost like people are kind of like, oh yeah, I biked here.
Right.
I don't know. It doesn't feel like people are like, yeah, I did it. I biked here. It was fun. It was awesome.
Yeah.
We're working with we're talking to a local bike shop, and I think bike shops can be where a lot of this. I mean, obviously they're the closest thing kind of in a community to the larger bike industry. Like that's how the bike industry can like gets into a community. And we have a lot of bike shops here.
We do.
Too. So that's kind of an interesting aspect of that.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like we have a lot of bike shops, given the population, but like there's not. I feel like the bike shops here are great.
I don't know. Yeah, we're not being.
We're not being negative, but all I'm saying.
I moved here from Minneapolis because I wanted to be here.
Yeah, but I do think one thing that's missing is like Minneapolis did it well and Portland did it well. Like there were bike shops that acted as third spaces. They had some kind of place that people could just go hang out, talk about bikes, nerd out.
Right.
And it's by having that space that's not a bar, a restaurant, a specific event.
Right.
It's almost like a clubhouse. I mean, that's how you kind of build this kind of like social cycling community.
Right.
And I mean, at the moment, that's not really here.
Right.
There's opportunities. Free Cycles would be a good place. Missoula Bike Works, who we've been chatting with. But no one's really like planted the flag like this is going to be, the kind of third space for all the cyclists in town.
Right.
So.
I don't know if that's. I mean, I would be interested to talk to like Angry Catfish, one-on-one in Minneapolis, or my sister lives in Denver, and so there's like Slow High in Denver.
Heard of them.
And there's, like where they have like the coffee shop built in, and even like in Minneapolis, Hernial Cycles, where I got my Edge Runner. Yeah. Like they're connected to a Dunn Brothers coffee. Like there's a doorway that you can go through, or it's like kind of its own coffee shop, and so that kind of like that coffee, being able to like, for me also like when I was first getting into bikes, like I wanted to be around bikes all the time because I was like, oh man, this is so much fun. I want to go in here, but it's like, honestly, I like my thing was like, I'll go in and buy like a tube,
right?
Like just because I like wanted to like look around and see what was there, and like I loved bikes. I was like getting into it, and I like, but I was like, these aren't my friends. Like they're a business. They're trying to like run a business, and it's like, well, but how can I go and like have an excuse
to hang out without having to buy something all the time?
Right. Like I don't want to have to buy like or you feel silly like. You're going in every week buying a new tube. You just feel kind of like I need another reason to stop in here. Yeah. Like why do you go? And it's like, oh well, I can go and get like a $2 coffee, and then I can I have that coffee in my hand, and I can kind of then feel like, hey, I bought your coffee.
Yeah, I can hang out.
Let me look around at the bikes and let me just hang out.
I definitely think though it does take a very special kind of bike shop, very special kind of bike shop owner to kind of really embrace that.
Yeah.
I think I interviewed Toby DePaw, who ran North Central Cyclery, and I think he was telling me like he chatted with the owners over at Angry Catfish, and I think that they built it around the coffee shop. Like it wasn't like let's build a bike shop and then put coffee there, but it was very kind of like intentional to have the coffee shop, to draw people there, to have people come in to the bike shop doors multiple times, not just because they're buying bike stuff, but just to be in that space. And what's fascinating is like I asked Toby, he used to run the NCC, but like if you were to play sim bike and start a bike shop from scratch, like how would he do it? And he said the same thing. Like I would like actually have the bike component last, but concentrate on the social aspect first. Because if you think about it, like how many bikes, you maybe, buy a bike once every 3 or 5 years, and then components, maybe monthly.
You might be upgrading, or you might be needing something.
But it's not enough to have the same customer come in through the doors all the time.
Yeah.
But if you had that, cafe element or just kind of social space, then you have a reason for potential customers to come in through the doors multiple times a week.
Yeah. Right. Going on. So there's like the retail here is like kind of tightly knit anyway. So it seems like it would be a good an opportunity for a shop here to be able to enter into kind of that third place type atmosphere and provide.
Have you been to Métier in Seattle? Yeah. So I feel like that's kind of a really interesting example because they really embody that idea. It's actually more like a third, fourth, and fifth place because like you can get food there, coffee there. There is a bike shop, but there's a gym, there's like a sauna, there's showers, there's like, they'll do strength training and everything.
Right.
And I feel like when I walked in, it was more like a all-inclusive like cycling experience.
Yeah.
Well,
right. And and then I think what's great about obviously like bigger cities can handle once again you have the texture that's kind of easier because then you have also in Capitol Hill you have Peloton, which I think kind of a slightly different crowd. I think Peloton
a little bit more punk rock
supports like the bike polo scene there.
Yeah.
But you can still go in and get just like coffee. They have food options.
Their tacos are pretty good.
Yeah. So like because then people can get together and they talk, and so then some of those different community members as far as like the roadies and the mountain bikers and the commuters and the tourers, like they can all kind of get together and they have an opportunity to kind of like rub elbows, and it just makes for a more interesting, diverse bike community.
Yeah, for sure.
Which I think was maybe really on display this week in a Radavist article.
Yeah.
Return of the Radavist.
Da, da, da. So Spencer Harding, a contributor to Radavist, did a write-up on transit, or he went down to Tucson. It sounded like he was guiding in the area.
Yeah, working in the area.
And he was kind of curious because half of the bikey Instagrams was there.
Yeah, you've interviewed a few people that have lived down there this winter for the PLP talks.
Yeah.
Tucson is a lot bigger than I thought. Like it might be the same size as Missoula.
Oh no, it's bigger.
No, it's huge. I don't know what I was thinking.
It's bigger and it has better tacos. And what's cool about transit is he has a lot of bike bags. Like I remember.
So you have a soft spot for him because of the bike bag connection.
Yeah. He is on point with like what's interesting, what's cool in terms of touring and bike packing.
For those of you that don't know, Russ has like the biggest bike bag collection. Like it's
ridiculous.
Yeah. It could be. It's like
we call it the armory.
But it's important to be able to try out different options of these things. Like with bikes, you want to maybe know like why is this one bag better than another one?
So Duncan, the owner, I remember when we interviewed him, he said his wife used to rib him a little bit and say, what you have is a bag shop with some bikes in it. But what's cool about that, like they carry cargo bikes, touring bikes, kind of not your typical like pure road, pure mountain, but utilitarian or kind of adventure based.
Yeah.
So it's definitely a cool shop.
I think that from what I've seen, like what Spencer put up and what I've seen online from some of your videos when you were there, that there's just like a nice balance that you can see a box bike. Like he has box feet there that you can like, if you're like, what is up with that? I've seen that on the internet, or like I saw that around town. Like somebody has one of those. Like I have one of those, and people ask me all the time, like, did you make that? Did you buy it someplace? Like, they're like, oh, that's so great because your kid's right there. You can talk to them. So. I think to be able to have that for people to see,
Yeah, for sure.
that's so amazing. If you're coming to Missoula this summer, hit us up. We'll take you out.
Yeah, for real. Like, we should throw that out there. Like, if you're touring through or visiting in your adventure mobile and you want to be on BikesxBourbon.
Oh yeah, come and hang out with us.
Yeah, especially if you bring a bottle.
Yeah.
A nice one.
Yeah. Before we get too far away from transit cycles, and you can edit this into someplace else if need be. But the other thing that I loved about what Spencer wrote about was that I was not maybe completely aware that they do a 2-mile bike ride to a brewery.
Yeah.
Which, like 2 miles on a bike, I think maybe people that tour or people that like ride a lot, it's like 2 miles.
Right.
And it's like, well, that's a great casual pace. Like you can ride as a group, stay together. And then they get like your first beer is $1.
Yeah.
That's what a fun, like the brewery wins because people just bike there.
Yeah.
But then it's also like a casual thing. So maybe people that want to get into like a bike ride, but
you can find your people.
They don't think, because most bike shop rides, like if you think about like an organized group shop, like they're usually longer. Like even if that long is 15 miles.
Yeah.
Which like if you've not ridden a bike in a while,
it's true.
It's a long ways to ride, and so.
And they also, I know why they do this, but they're like, okay, are you like the fast group or the slow group or the A or the B?
Yeah.
And like already, like as a new cyclist, you're like, I don't know, am I good enough? There's all this like, like even like for me, like both, we're seasoned kind of cyclists, but still I get that group ride anxiety,
Right. Or you read like average speed 20. I think I've gone 20 before.
Yeah.
How far did I go when I was going 20 miles per hour? So yeah, I think that's the thing that people can. It's like that language and trying to translate that to be like, I don't know what that means to me. Like, I don't know how fast I go. When I ride my bike, I eventually get to where I want it to go.
I can totally see the need for like, an event, a ride where it's, it's not about the speed or the distance. Right. It's like, we all like bikes and we want to socialize.
Also, like a 2-mile ride is like a great distance if you're trying something new on your bike.
Yeah.
For it to like shake free or loose.
Right.
And so like, it's kind of like to me that would be the other thing is like if you've just pulled your bike out of the garage and you're like, haven't ridden in a long time, or if you're like, oh, I have this new setup.
Right.
I want to see how this crazy basket thing I've rigged works. And if it's like, after 2 miles it's completely done for, well, hey, you're at the brewery, and like you can figure out like the brewery can give you some duct tape, and like you can get home, like so you're fine. So like that's a nice distance to like make it. People can use it for different things, and then you get to meet people in your town that like bikes. So that seems like a fun thing that transit is a part of, and I support 2-mile bike rides to breweries. I can adamantly support that.
Yeah. I'm still getting like the weird peanuts taste, man.
I
have no idea where that's coming from.
Like, in like the spectrum of whiskeys, E or without an E, I am definitely like a Irish butterscotch person, and like I enjoy this. Like I can appreciate it.
Yeah.
But if it was like, which one do you want to like sit around with for a little bit longer?
Yeah.
It would be 1792.
Yeah. Cool.
It is almost April. It might be April when you watch this. Sign up for 30 Days of Biking.
Oh yeah.
It's a hashtag. It's a movement. No, it's mainly a hashtag. Find it. It's a cool thing. Just ride your bike around the block, out of your driveway. Ride your bike every day in April.
So that's just the goal, 30 days of
30 days, that every day in April.
But there's no like mileage limit?
It's not like the Rafa 500.
Okay.
Like the Festive 500 where you're trying to go 500 kilometers in this week.
Yeah.
No, it's just...
Or Everesting.
Right. Get on your bike and ride and have fun on your bike, and especially like that's a nice thing gearing up for like warmer weather coming.
It's true.
Because if people haven't been out riding or you've been on the trainer and you're like, it's like I think it's kind of a nice thing to like go outside and ride and like get your bike back out and
dust it off,
or like lube the chain, or it needs to be clean because you've been riding it in the winter and it's like gotten all muddy and icy and snowy and like.
I'm gonna go out on that guy.
Oh yeah, you're not gonna. Wow, that's a good choice.
I'm gonna switch gears again. So till next time, cheers and keep the supple side. Are we doing that?
We are, but what? Wait, are you just gonna say cheers?
I don't know. What
I thought you had something else to say. This is what happens when we change. I just got good at saying trap.
All right, so till next time, keep the supple side down. You have to say it at the same time.
I didn't realize we were doing like synchronized talking.
Let's try it synchronized. If it
all right.
If it feels dumb, then I'll just close it out. Till next time. Keep the supple side down. Oh, that sounds...
Professionals.
Right.
Professionals.
Yeah.
All right. We're leaving that in.
Yeah.